Maverick 100.9. It's Scoreless, catching up with an Aggieland artist that I haven't talked to in quite some time. Ben Kadlecek is here. Hey, Ben.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, but we've been missing you. I know you moved out of town, you're graduated, and you're all grown up, and you've kind of been flying under the radar making new music.
Grown up is a strong term, but yes, we are. I did finally decide to leave my favorite place in the world, College Station. Just ready for a new adventure. Back in Austin, and yeah, that's not even scratching the surface of what we've been doing, man. Spent the last big number of months putting together a completely new band, putting together a completely new set list, and just. I still get confused on what year we're in. I catch myself on stage sometimes saying what a 2020 it's been. We're almost 2.5 years into COVID. But this whole, it's kind of an ongoing thing with a lot of these artists still that, we're not quite back to where we were. So I've been taking this, not touring as much as I'd like to and trying to find the positive and writing a lot still. And I've got a great studio team now. Travis Bishop, producing down there at Stormy Cooper Media in Houston. And we've recorded 6 songs so far. We're going back later this month for 2 more. So my plan is to have a ton of music out this year. So Ghost is going to be the first one, is the first one now, I guess, out of this bunch.
That's exciting. Travis is incredible. So we're super stoked for all the new music. But like you mentioned, you have finally released Ghosts, which we're going to debut here on air today. Tell me a little bit about that, because obviously something called Ghosts sounds very haunting.
And it's funny that, we're doing this interview. This was the last song that I wrote in College Station when I still lived there. And it was kind of, it's a little bit about, the tagline is the ghosts of the past won't let me leave this town. And that's really how I kind of feel about College Station and the people that, I met there. It's, it's as much as I want to move on. And there's been College Station has seen me at my best, seen me at my worst, and everywhere in between. And as much as I sometimes want to move on and try to move on, there's people and things there that are holding me back. And, it's bigger than that, though. There's a bigger meaning to it, which I think everybody can kind of take their own interpretation of it.
Oh, absolutely. And we all are always stuck in some form of a place that we called home. Me especially, I'm from Kansas. And so, yeah, there's bits of me that are like, yeah, that's home. And there's other parts of me that are just 100% Texan and would never want to go home. And so I think we can all take a little bit from this single and maybe feel a little bit of that love that you have for this place. And I think that's special to always keep that, because you did start your career here.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I wrote the piano riff that you'll hear at the beginning, probably 5 or 6 months before I even had any words to it. Cause I had to, it was one of those late nights in the house that I lived with a bunch of band guys at the time. And, they heard it. They're like, ooh, that's something there. And I was like, okay, well, I think we got something. And I was like, all right, I gotta have words that match the coolness, the awesomeness of this piano riff. And I couldn't find anything for like 5 or 6 months. And finally, I had got out of a relationship that wasn't so great. And I was like, this is where it fits. This is where it fits in. So
yeah.
Once it started, the floodgates opened, then I think it turned out really cool.
Speaking of haunting, it sounded like it haunted you. I'm so excited. Ben Kadlecek, everybody, Aggieland Artist, of course. We are debuting his brand new single, Ghosts, for you now on Maverick 100.9. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to bring you this single in podcast form, but you can find it and download it on any of your favorite platforms. And today's interview continues now. That was Aggieland Artist, Ben Kadlecek, and Ghosts on Maverick 100.9. I'm catching up with Ben. It is so good to see you. I know you've just been working hard. I always say when an artist goes silent for a little while, there's an explosion about to happen. And you said you've been recording a lot. So when can everybody expect this new music?
Ghost is out now. With it Ghost released on February 28th. I've got three more that are mastered and ready to go. We're waiting on some artwork and starting the release process for those to get them, all the media stuff, getting behind the scenes stuff. So expect at least one more the month of March, probably, second, third week of March. And, you never know, we may just get a wild hair and drop 2 or 3 songs in a month. I've got so much music that I'm so excited to get out that, I've figured, let's keep spoon feeding people this music. And there's definitely certain artists that, can release a 10 or 12 song album and ride that wave for a year or 2 years. There's big country artists, Cody Johnson just released his double album that's 20 something songs, but people have been waiting 2 years for it. And he's going to ride that thing until the wheels fall off. That's a great album. Unfortunately, I'm not to that level where I have a fan base that will digest an entire album like that. Which I think it's a generational thing. The TikTok generation and the Twitter generation that I'm a part of, for sure, our attention spans are shorter. We want something new. We want something now. So I'm trying to kind of ride that wave and just every month, here's a new song. Well, you like it? Cool.
Yeah. And that's kind of a shift that we saw from 2020. And it was one of those positives. It was a change that I think we all needed. Radio, it's almost along the radio line, because that's how we get our music. We get a burst of music and then we get something completely new a few months later. And that's why it's always worked. And this has now kind of transferred over into streaming and downloading. And it really helps out a lot more independent artists. And well, speaking of being an independent artist, you had mentioned you're able to go back and forth to Nashville a lot now. What does that mean for you as a Texas country artist?
I think that it just means bigger opportunities. I spoke of Cody Johnson just a minute ago. I think, to me, he is kind of the one from Texas that has changed the whole landscape of how Nashville and Texas artists work with each other. Yeah. You no longer have to be residing in Nashville and be plugged into that scene every day to make it as a national Billboard charting artist. I think he's proven that. And then you see guys like Randall King that are up there making his Opry debut, or Flatland Cavalry, who just moved up there, and Tristan Merez, who's just moved up there, and they're all getting to work with much larger artists. I know Tristan just went on a tour with Kip Moore. And, you're writing songs with these people, speaking of another Aggieland artist, Hayden Baker, just signed with Ronnie Dunn's publishing deal. You're seeing a lot of, this kind of crossover to where you're able to work with the industry people that are in Nashville, but you still can, kind of have a home base in Texas, which I think is really, really cool. Cause I don't know that I'll ever get to the point where I'd be okay with leaving Texas permanently.
Right.
But man, I love that city and I love the people, and it's just so cool. I was up there just a couple weeks ago watching my buddy Jacob Bryant, who cut my song "Amen," getting to make his Grand Ole Opry debut. And someone was cutting onions in the Grand Ole Opry. I'll tell you that. It was lots of tears were shed, but it's so cool. It's very fulfilling for me to feel like I've got, I'm starting to make my mark, which is, that's the only thing I've ever wanted, is to, regardless of if I get rich and famous off of this music thing, as long as my songs can reach somebody somewhere and make an impact. And I feel like I've left my mark on this world that says Ben Kadlecek was here, then I think I've done my job.
Oh, 100%. I never took you for a sap like me.
I'm getting like my mom in my old age now.
It's funny. If you ask a lot of other Aggieland artists, they will 100% rat me out and tell you that I have cried at their shows. I totally have. I don't know. I'm more connected to people in this town specifically than I am anywhere else. So I cry a lot. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's okay. Ain't nobody judging. This is a safe space here.
It's safe space. Oh, I love that. Well, it's just been wonderful catching up with you. Everybody I've been on with Ben Kadlecek. I only stumbled over the name once. Okay. So we're not striking anything out for that. But I want you guys to go follow him because, like he said, there's a ton of music on the way. A lot of really vamped up new live shows coming. So you're gonna have to follow, and you can download and stream Ghosts now. Ben, always great to talk to you here on Maverick.
Yes, ma'am. Of course. Thank you so much.